Hello everyone. Let's start with the concept of rights, the UGC NET Political Science. And in the previous video, we had seen that justice is the state of incompletion, a state in which something is due to someone. So, if this injustice has happened to someone, so what are the avenues to correct this thing? So, rights are the claims made by individual upon state and society in general to provide the justice, to correct someone, to restore the balance. And imagine you live in a world where your voice does not matter, where any injustice, mishappening can happen to you, when your property can be taken away without any reason, and when you are simply punished for speaking your mind. So, such a world would be dark, unjust, and oppressive. So, it is to prevent such a world that the idea of rights was born. So, rights are moral and legal claims that every individual holds against the state and society, and they protect human rights and ensure freedom, equality, and justice. And in the words of Harold Lasky, rights are those conditions of social life without which no man can seek, in general, to be himself at his best. So, rights are the things that seems a life natural, that makes a life natural in existence, without which any person cannot be himself at his best. Now the meanings and definitions. So according to Lasky, rights are sanctioned conditions of social life which are necessary for a meaningful life, necessary for a natural and meaningful existence of people. Then according to T.H. Green's, rights are powers that are necessary for fulfillment of man's moral being. Again, a natural thing, uh, meaningful life, condition for meaningful life. Then D.D. Raffel, according to him, rights imply that others have duty towards the right holder, which is a communal sense of rights, in which you will have your rights only when you protect others. So rights are two-sided. First, they confer freedom on the individual, then they impose obligation on the others. A two-way sword. Now the evolution of the idea of rights. So during ancient and medieval time, rights were linked to duties and status, and rights were enjoyed mainly by rulers, aristocrats, and privileged groups. So in the both the ages, rights were privileged position, and those privileges were given only with people who either held some powerful position or people had some property and resources. So वो टाइम ही था हायरार्किकल सोसाइटी का. सो इस हायरार्किकल सोसाइटी में जो बॉटम बेस था, दैट consisted of general population, they did not have such rights. Then the rise of natural right, the second step in evolution. So here John Locke, he proposed that men have natural rights to life, liberty, and property simply by being human, which later gave way to the concept of human rights, that we have certain rights just because we were born as humans. So this idea that rights are inherent and innate, that are not granted by rulers, they became revolutionary. Now in the modern era, the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, it declared that all men are endowed with unalienable rights. Unalienables mean something which cannot be taken away. So these rights are inalienable or inseparable. These rights cannot be taken by anything. Now, the French Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, in the aftermath of French Revolution of 1789, it affirmed liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. These claims were granted to all the people that took part in this revolution. So gradually, rights became universal, codified, and internationally recognized. Now, the situation of post World War II, so the horrors of war, it led to UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a charter granted by United Nations, and here rights expanded to include social, economic, and cultural rights. Now, the characteristic of rights. First, they are universal, which means they apply to all human beings. Then they are inalienable, which means they cannot be taken away arbitrarily. They are inseparable from human existence. Then they are fundamental because they are essential for development of personality. Then they are justiciable, which means they are protected by law and enforceable through courts. So in case of violation of your rights or infringement of your rights, you can approach court. In Indian case, when I'm talking about fundamental right, you can directly approach Supreme Court in case of violation of your fundamental rights. Then the last characteristic is that rights are complementary to duties. That rights and duties, they are two sides of the same coin. So if you need your rights to be protected, then you must protect others' rights. Then in the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the true source of rights is duty. So if we all discharge our duties, then rights will not be far to seek. So it's like uh, turning the coin upside down. So when you look at the other side of coin, the original side will not be far to seek. Because if you do your duties, is everyone protect the rights of others, then they will also become others for someone. So ऐसे में अगर वो दूसरे के अधिकार बचा रहे हैं तो उनके अधिकार भी कोई ना कोई बचेगा. So it will be a positive feedback loop, a virtuous cycle kind of thing. Then classification of rights. So rights are broadly classified into natural rights, which exist by virtue of human nature. So these rights include right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Then there are moral rights that arise from ethical or social norms which are not legally enforceable. Because here, morality or ethics both are culturally relativistic thing. Cultural relativism. If you are not aware of this concept, it means that every culture should be seen from the insider perspective. Every culture should be left to fend for itself. And the thing is, the world is a big place, and there are many different sections of people, many shades of opinion, many cultures. और हर एक कल्चर का किसी भी पैरामीटर को लेकर अपना एक ओपिनियन हो सकता है या उसके अपने नॉर्म्स हो सकते हैं, अपने कस्टम्स हो सकते हैं. सो ऐसे में एक यूनिवर्सल प्रिंसिपल स्पेशली रिगार्डिंग द कल्चरल पैरामीटर इट कैन नॉट बी ड्रॉन. सो ऐसे में दिस कंसेप्ट द कल्चरल रिलेटिविज्म और टू सी the social customs and cultural practices via the lens of relativity, it it is also one way of providing rights to different cultural communities. So यही वो रीज़न है जिसकी वजह से जो moral rights हैं, because of difference of opinions of what is morality to each culture, they are not legally enforceable. So first, right to be respected, and this thing, it varies across different cultures. Now there are legal rights. So legal rights are those that are created and enforced by the state, such as right to vote, right to property. Then there are civil rights that protect individual from discrimination and unfair treatment. So right to equality before law, most of the fundamental rights, they come under civil rights. Then there are political rights, which enable people to participate in governance, to vote, to contest election, to hold public office. Then there are economic and social rights that ensure minimum standards of well-being, such as basic infrastructure, provision of basic amenities, then minimum wage thing. So these are the concepts that helps in distribution of economic rights. Example, right to education, right to work. Then there are human rights, which are universally recognized by international community, such as freedom from torture and the protection of civilian population during war, the protection of population from genocide to such things, they come under human rights. Now, the theories of rights. The first theory is natural rights theory, which, according to John Locke and Rousseau, rights exist prior to society and state because rights are inalienable, inseparable part of human existence. So it is the human that made society and state, not the reverse. Then there is a legal and positivist theory, which, according to Bentham, rights are creation of law, and without law, there will be no rights. So again, a same feedback thing can be seen here that here rights are born out of law, and law itself is not divine. Law itself is an human endeavor, is a human activity. Humans created law, and it then this law it protected right. So laws are a part of human agency to protect human conditions. Then rights are legal constructs, not natural entities, which means the rights were created by law or right were created as a legal tool to protect humans from one another. So this is one of the theoretical principle on the origin of rights. Then there is a historical theory given by Edmund Burke, which says rights are derived from traditions and customs. Then there is a social welfare theory. Here, Lasky says rights must promote social goods and collective welfare. Then there is a Marxist view, according to which rights under capitalism are hollow, are meaningless. True rights come with economic equality for the working classes. Then let's talk about rights in Indian political context. यहाँ पे कोई भी चीज़ जो है आपको समझ में नहीं आई हो and that you need further explanation, ये comments में आप बता दीजिए. So rights hold a central place in India's political and constitutional structure. Fundamental rights मिले हैं from Article 12 to 35. And then these six groups of fundamental rights. First, right to equality from Article 14 to 18, right to freedom from 19 to 22, rights against exploitation, Article 23, 24, right to freedom of religion, 25 to 28, cultural and educational right, 29 to 30, and right to constitutional remedies, 32. So 14 की बात करते हैं, it is the principle of equality before law and equal protection of law to all citizens. तो इसका मतलब है law सबके लिए बराबर है and law will protect everyone in equal manner. Then 15 की बात करते हैं, 15 and 16 both are one of the social rights. ये जो social parameters हैं like race, class, gender, कास्ट, प्लेस ऑफ ओरिजिन, इनके बेसिस पे लैंग्वेज, कल्चर, इन बेसिस पे किसी के साथ कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं होगा. टेक्निकल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो सकता है दैट वेरीज अकॉर्डिंग टू द ऑक्यूपेशन, द जॉब, द एंटिटी वन इज ट्राइंग टू एंगेज हिमसेल्फ इनटू, बट उसके अलावा जो सोशल पैरामीटर, जो बोगस पैरामीटर्स हैं, दे विल नॉट बी इंक्लूडेड. फिर आर्टिकल 17 है, इट अबॉलिशेस अनटचेबिलिटी, छुआछूत जो पहले चलती थी. नाउ दिस डेफिनेशन हैज़ बीन ब्रॉडन, और किसी भी तरह की अनटचेबिलिटी है, वेदर ओवर्ट और कोवर्ट, ओपन हो रही है या हिडन मैनर, even in gestures, this untouchability, it has been abolished completely. Then comes Article 18, which is about abolition of titles. So राजा, महाराजा, प्रिंसेस, जो हाई डिग्निटरीज हैं, जो पुराने जमींदार्स हैं, हर वो जो टाइटल्स जो पहले यूज होते थे, सब टाइटल्स they have been removed to ensure equality among different sections of people. फिर right to freedom. So Article 19 is about is it lists various freedoms that are available to people, such as कहीं भी काम कर सकते हैं, freedom to move anywhere, freedom to take occupations of your life, freedom to engage into any trade practices, freedom to profess your religion, your belief. Then फिर आर्टिकल 20 है. So under Article 20s, there are provisions that protect people from unfair convictions. So इसमें जो provisions हैं like protection from double jeopardy, कि एक ही crime के लिए दो बार आपको आपको convict आपको सजा नहीं मिल सकती. Then retrospective laws नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि अभी present time में you will be convicted for a breach of law for committing any crime. So अब ऐसा नहीं हो कि प्रेजेंट टाइम में वो चीज़ें क्राइम नहीं हो, बट टू बुक यू अंडर एनी सेक्शन, टू कन्विक्ट यू, आपको जेल पहुंचाने के लिए एक ऐसा ही रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव लॉ मीन्स जो अभी लॉ नहीं है बट बैक डेट से वो एक लॉ बना दिया गया. फॉर एग्जांपल अभी यहाँ पे टीचिंग के दौरान या किसी भी शो के दौरान कोई भी टीचर या कोई समवन ही कैन क्रिटिसाइज गवर्नमेंट, एंड ये आर्टिकल 19 में है. मैं भी मोदी के बारे में या फिर डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के बारे में, जो इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिकल इकोनॉमी है, इंटरनेशनल सिनेरियो, उसके बारे में बोल सकता हूँ. इन द अभी इस टाइम पे इस तरह को कुछ भी बोलना, इट इज़ नॉट पार्ट ऑफ सडिशन या एनी सच क्रिमिनल लॉ. लेकिन अगर किसी भी सेक्शन को, इवन इंडिविजुअल को बुक करने के लिए, बुक मीन्स कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, जेल भेजने के लिए, if such law is created from backdate, so that would be called a retrospective law. And Article 20, it protects individual from such a retrospection. Then third provision under Article 20 is right of self incrimination. So ये जो provision है, it protect people from providing false evidence against themselves. So ये होता है कि कई बार पुलिस जो है, it tortures individual to elicit what is not true. So अगर एक गरीब आदमी रिक्शा चलाने वाला है एंड अंडर पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर पुलिस जो है उसको मार मार के बोलती है कि यस तूने ही बॉम्ब प्लांट किया था. सो ऐसे में गरीब आदमी कब तक सह कर पाएगा, एंड फाइनली ही falsify the evidence, he self incriminate himself. और कानून के अंदर, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर, दिस इज इलीगल. एक पर्सन ही कैन नॉट बी कंपेल्ड टू टेस्टिफाइज ऑन रॉन्ग डूइंग. उसके लिए एविडेंस कलेक्ट करना, केस तैयार करना, ये सब पुलिस का काम है. फिर आर्टिकल 21 की बात करते हैं. इट इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डायनेमिक राइट्स, राइट टू लाइफ, एंड द जुडिशरी by various judgment it has expanded this right, which includes right to a dignified life, right to clean and breathing air, और बहुत सारे provisions है इसमें. Then right against exploitation, which is about human labor and begar. So human labor, especially exploitative practices, and begar, जो पुराने टाइम में जो condition थी to employ someone without pay condition. So ये दोनों जो हैं, these things including child labor and trafficking, all of these things they have been declared illegal. Then right to freedom of religion, article 25 to 18. So इसमें they are various enabling provision for people to stick to their faith or to profess their own faith. So these enabling conditions, which means that you cannot be converted against your will, then you can hold any kind of belief, even if it is bizarre, but it should not be socially harmful. So you have the freedom of religion or freedom of faith. Then cultural and educational rights, कि ये जितने भी डिफरेंट सेक्ट्स हैं, डिफरेंट रिलीजन है, फेथ्स हैं, दे कैन स्टैब्लिश देयर ओन एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन, एंड गवर्नमेंट चाहे तो इट कैन प्रोवाइड द necessary affirmative actions. Then the right to constitutional remedies, which is the heart and soul of Indian Constitution. So Article 32 के अंदर, if any of your fundamental right has been violated, then you can directly approach Supreme Court or High Court for restoration of your rights. अब फिर शायद ये आर्टिकल 22 रह गया है. So आर्टिकल 22, it is protection against illegal conviction. It details a due process of law that should be followed while detaining someone. तो इसमें ये है कि फर्स्ट जो भी अरेस्टेड पर्सन है, ही शुड बी इन्फॉर्म ऑफ द ग्राउंड्स ऑफ अरेस्ट, किस लिए अरेस्ट किया है वो सब बताओ. देन जो डिटेनी है उसके पास राइट्स हैं टू बी डिफेंडेड बाय अ लॉयर. देन थर्ड थिंग, जो डिटेनी है, अरेस्टेड पर्सन है, ही शुड बी presented before a local magistrate within 24 hours of arrest. तो ये conditions हैं. Then important judgments. First, the evergreen case, Keshwanand Bharti case of 1973. Here, court ruled that fundamental rights, they form part of basic structure. Then in Menka Gandhi case, court gave the verdict and expanded the rights by the right to life, especially that comes in Article 21. And this expansion, it meant that right to life, it means right to live with dignity. Now, the recent judgment, the Puttaswamy judgment, right to privacy, that recognize as a fundamental right. Then Supreme Court, it has decriminalized Section 377, which means homosexuality has been decriminalized under Navtej Singh Johar judgment. Now, global development of rights. So, UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted and provided by the UN, which recognize civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. And various covenants, such as ICCPR, which protect civil and political rights, and ICCPR is International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And then ICSCR, which protects economic, social, and cultural rights. Now, the contemporary issues in rights. First, rights versus security. So, Article 22 में एक और provisions हैं, especially about detention. So, detention का ये है कि police can arrest someone if they have indulged in some crime. But sometimes हम crime होने का wait नहीं कर सकते. We must arrest this person to prevent that crime from happening. So such an activity, it is known as preventive detention. ये it is done to prevent the terrorist from launching an attack. अब ये preventive detention जो है, इसके अंदर if police, if law and order authorities, if suspect someone is a social threat, is a security threat, then the same person can be arrested 3 times for 3 months in one stretch, and which can be extended indefinitely. And इसमें even if some legal rights are there on paper, but otherwise no rights are there. Socially भी अगर किसी पर्सन पे अगर टेररिस्ट का नाम आ गया, थप्पा लग गया, then society भी उसके लिए कुछ नहीं करेगी, even if they have the right of representation. So ऐसे में such laws have been misused often. Government, they have misused this to silence opposition voices. So जो एग्जाम्पल्स आपके सामने ही हैं, आप लोग जानते हैं कि बहुत सारे जो जर्नलिस्ट हैं, जो कॉमेडियंस हैं, स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियंस हैं, बहुत सारे जो थिंकर्स हैं, इंटेलेक्चुअल्स हैं, एमिनेंट पीपल हैं, दे हैव बीन बुक्ड अंडर द सेडिशन लॉ, अंडर UAPA, or they have been booked as urban Naxals, as terrorists, and most of them, they have been booked under the sections of national security. So यहाँ पे एक dilemma आ जाता है that because of national security, if political oppositions are being incriminated, then it must have a chilling effect on human rights. बिकॉज ऐसे में फिर हर किसी भी इंसान को, कोई भी जो सोशल पर्सन है, ही कैन बी बुक्ड अंडर द प्रोविजंस ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. सो ये जो लॉ है, डिबेट अराउंड UAPA, विच इज़ अनलॉफुल एक्टिविटी प्रिवेंशन एक्ट, दिस डिबेट हैज़ बीन गोइंग ऑन. फिर इससे पहले जो बहुत सारे लॉ थे, लाइक टाडा हो गया, मीसा हो गया, सो ये लॉ भी जो थे, ये सब टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज़ को कंट्रोल करने के लिए थे. बट धीरे धीरे they started taking a different turn. Now the second issue is about digital rights. कि the new world is emerging, a new virtual world is taking shape, and many people are coexisting in it. So ऐसे में इस virtual world में क्या right हों, and फिर existence के अलावा जो लोग उसमें exist नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, so how their life is going to manifest in this crucial juncture between virtual and real world. So जो लोग जिनके पास ये डिजिटल एक्सेस नहीं है, जो गरीब लोग हैं, अब उनको ये एक्सेस जो है वो कौन प्रोवाइड करेगा? हु इज़ गोइंग टू रिमूव दिस डिजिटल गैप? देन जो एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं उनके लिए द राइट टू डेटा प्रिवेसी, कि फिर उनका जो डेटा है वो उसको कौन प्रोटेक्ट करेगा? फिर किसी भी उनके किसी राइट का अगर वायलेशन होता है, सो उनके पास क्या वेन्यूज पॉसिबल है? सो ये एक नया इशू है. देन ग्रुप राइट्स वर्सेस इंडिविजुअल राइट्स, क्योंकि जो कम्युनल राइट्स हैं वो तो मिले हुए हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में राइट्स मिले, बट व्हाट अबाउट इंडिविजुअल राइट्स, स्पेशली व्हेन these two things come into conflict with each other. So example देख सकते हैं, the minority protection, especially about language rights versus uniform civil code debate. So यहाँ पे the different sections of people are there who wants to protect their culture, their customs, their traditions, but uniform civil code, it is trying to bring in uniformity, even if it is a good gesture, but still जो अभी बताया था, the anvil of cultural relativism, it must be looked into. This must be um, or this must not be overlooked. This must not be neglected. लोगों के जो कस्टम है, कल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, दे मस्ट बी केप्ट इनटू अकाउंट. उसके बाद जो बाकी जितने भी लीगल प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, स्पेशली दो रिलेटेड टू इनहेरिटेंस, डिवोर्स, मेंटेनेंस ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी, ये सब जो है उनके लिए यूनिफॉर्मिटी ला सकता है, बट विद द कंसेंट ऑफ पीपल. एंड फाइनली द इशू इज अबाउट एनवायरमेंटल राइट्स, क्योंकि जो राइट टू लाइफ है उसके अंदर राइट टू क्लीन एनवायरमेंट है, बट you might have seen this, especially right to celebrate Diwali versus right to clean breathing air. So यहाँ पे the communal rights हैं versus individual rights, they clearly come into conflict with each other. And यही सेम चीज़ जो है वो लाउड डीजे को लेकर है, जो साउंड सिस्टम है उनको लेकर है. यहाँ भी if someone wants to enjoy a good nap, but then their loudspeaker sound system, फिर वहाँ भी सेम ये environmental जो है या ये communal versus जो personal rights हैं वो dilemma आ जाता है. So these are the various issues, challenges concerning rights. And then in the next chapter we will take up this topic, democracy. Thank you very much and subscribe the channel.